You know that feeling? Like you really want to be informed, properly understand things, but you just feel buried under all the information coming at you.
Yeah, totally. Information overload is real.
Well, that's kind of why we do this. Welcome to the deep dive. We dig into interesting topics, sift through the sources, and basically pull out the important bits for you.
And today, we're diving into something, well, incredibly common, something a lot of us use every single day: caffeine.
Exactly. And this whole thing kicked off actually after hearing this bit on Mornings in the Lab. The host, Keith, was super clear, like emphatic that he would never, ever quit caffeine.
Yeah, I remember that. It definitely made us think, didn't it?
It did. So our main source today is actually a clip from that show.
Which is great because it shows how you can get some, real nuggets of insight even from what sounds like just a casual morning radio chat.
Absolutely. So the mission today, I guess, is to really unpack caffeine's role. Look these personal stories like Keith's and see what we can maybe learn for ourselves for you listening.
Okay, so let's get into that Mornings in the Lab clip. Keith really came out swinging, didn't he, about his love for caffeine?
He really did. He talked about trying to quit before, said
Okay.
it was just a brutal month. Like his productivity completely tanked.
Oof. Yeah, he mentioned workouts feeling sluggish too.
Totally. Just sounded like a miserable experience all around.
But what's interesting is how he views it now. It's not like caffeine is the enemy, you know?
Right. His point was more, it's about how you use it thoughtfully.
And that led him into talking about some research, which was quite interesting.
Yeah, he mentioned studies suggesting specifically timed morning coffee, black coffee, mind you, might actually have benefit.
Like what? What did he mention?
Things like potentially lower risk of heart disease, maybe a bit of a boost to your metabolism.
Metabolism, right? How your body
Look.
burns energy.
Exactly. And also maybe helping with mental clarity, mood, that sort of thing.
And the emphasis was really on black coffee, wasn't it? Not the, sugary lattes.
Definitely. He contrasted it with those. It seems the potential upsides he was talking about were linked more to just straight coffee.
Which makes sense.
Huh.
Some studies point to antioxidants in coffee,
Mhm.
possibly helping with inflammation. Maybe that's the heart disease link he was thinking of.
Could be. For him, though, it really sounds like his morning coffee, those 2 cups, have become, well, a ritual.
A signal almost.
Yeah. He literally said it signals go time to his brain and body,
Yeah.
like Pavlov's dogs, you know? The coffee becomes the bell.
Huh. Yeah, that's a good analogy. It's like he's conditioned himself. That consistent cue can be really potent.
He's essentially trained his system to switch on, but he also
Right.
talked about balance.
Right, not overdoing it.
Yeah, mostly sticking to the mornings, drinking lots of water,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And for him, it seems to work. He said he feels sharp, energized,
Yeah.
effective.
And then he turned it around, didn't he? He asked his listeners
Yeah.
about their own routines, like when do you drink it? How much? What are your habits?
Which is a great segue, actually, because in that same segment, they had insights from their expert, John, and he had a really useful framework for thinking about this.
Ah, yes. The tool versus crutch idea.
Exactly. That really struck me. Is caffeine something you use strategically, like a tool for a specific task?
Or has it become a crutch? Something you feel you just need to function to get through the day.
That's the danger zone, right? When it shifts from being helpful to being, well, detrimental because you depend on it so much.
Definitely. Like if you're using it for a specific focus session, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But if you get headaches or can't concentrate at all without it, maybe it's become more of a crutch.
And Jane shared a personal story too, didn't he? About using caffeine tablets.
Yeah, back when he was younger, for training, he said he used pretty high doses.
Why? What was the thinking there?
He thought it might help with slowing down lactic acid buildup during intense exercise.
Mm.
The stuff that makes your muscles burn and fatigue.
Ah, okay. Performance enhancement, basically.
That's the idea, yeah. And caffeine is looked at for that sometimes.
Hmm.
But his experience, well, it shows the downside.
How so?
He said it turned into a crutch really, really fast for him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he mentioned that if he missed his dose, his whole personality would change. Like he'd get irritable, negative.
That's quite a stark warning, isn't it? Especially about high doses.
It really is. Shows how quickly you can cross that line into dependency.
Okay, so let's try and pull this together. Thinking back on that Mornings in the Lab segment, what are the main things that stand out?
Well, first off, it's just undeniable how common caffeine is. Keith's whole vibe just screamed, this is part of my normal life.
Totally. And we heard how personal experiences can be really strong both ways. Keith feeling great now, but also remembering that awful infant to quit.
And John's story about the tablets and dependency, really powerful negative side.
Then there was the research Keith brought up, those potential benefits, especially tied to morning black coffee. Still emerging, maybe, but interesting.
But the big one, I think, is that idea of mindful use. John's tool versus crutch distinction feels really central.
Yeah, being intentional about it. Keith's routine, it sounds quite disciplined, which maybe keeps it in the tool category for him.
Right, whereas John's story shows what happens when it becomes a crutch you can't function without. It's about finding that balance, making sure it serves you rather than you serving it.
And that risk of dependency, especially with higher amounts, is definitely something John's experience highlights.
Well, sure.
So for everyone listening, people trying to get good info quickly without drowning in it, hopefully this deep dive gives a nice distilled look at caffeine through these real examples.
Yeah, snapshot within a real conversation. So maybe a final thought to leave people with.
Go for it.
Given everything we've just discussed, Keith, the enthusiastic user, the hints from research, John's cautionary tale, how does that make you think about your own caffeine use?
Good question. Is it genuinely a tool for you, something you use effectively? Or could you maybe tweak things like the timing or how much or even what you drink? Could that align things better with your own goals, your well-being?
Exactly. Just something to maybe reflect on.